Alright guys, so today I'm going to be teaching you how to install Lakka, the official RetroArch distribution based off Linux, onto a Raspberry Pi 3 Model B, which is in this nice little handmade case here, put together with acrylic wood. It's got a little fan in there. Here's the HDMI output. We've got a SNES controller plugged in for now, just to go through the configuration options once we get there, and then of course the power cable. So first step to getting a distribution running on a Raspberry Pi is you need a SD to microSD slot. Let me see here. There you go. So we got our little microSD card, goes in this little slot, and then we'll plug it into our computer. If your computer doesn't have an SD reader, that's fine. You can purchase a USB to SD reader, which basically just kind of turns it into a little flash drive, and you can get those at online. You can get them on my website, www.retrogame.club, and once you do that, we'll go ahead and get to step 2. Alright, so first we're going to plug in the SD card to our computer, or our USB to SD reader. Alright, and then it's gonna probably open up automatically. If it doesn't, that's fine. You should be able to find it in your file browser, just like this. It's not going to be called Lakka yet, obviously. It should pop up with whatever space you have. And what we're going to do is we're going to go on the internet and we're going to download a image burning software. It's free, it's very low profile, super easy. The program doesn't have any bloatware with it. It's pretty awesome. The website is called Etcher, etcher.io. So go there, download the program for whatever operating system you're using, and that's what we're going to be using to burn the disk image of Lakka. Okay, so once you have that, we can go ahead and download the Lakka image. So we go to Lakka, LAKKA.tv, and this is what it looks like. So I'm not going to go to get Lakka. That's not what we're going to be doing today. If you want the newest distribution of Lakka, you go to the news area of their website up here in the top right. Click it. It's going to say, oh, Lakka 2.0 whatever is out. So go with the newest one. Right now, as of April 23rd, 2017, RC5 is the newest at the time of recording this. So we're going to go with that distribution. So it'll come up with this page here, and then you just scroll to the bottom and it should have a link. If it doesn't have the link, I'm going to say it out loud for you. It's it's le.builds, BUILDS.Lakka.tv, and that's basically a huge folder of every single distribution they've made for every microcomputer, microcontroller, and whatnot. What we want, since we're using a Raspberry Pi 3 Model B, is we want to go with the rpi2.arm folder. I don't know why it's called rpi2, to be honest, but that's where the rpi 3 images are actually stored. So I guess maybe the rpi2 and the 3 are so similar they just make one image for both. So once you go into that folder, it's going to come up with a bunch of stuff. So you got RC3, RC4, RC5. Go with the newest one again. Right now RC5 is the newest at the time of recording this, and there's a few different options. So you've got this one here which says rc5-noobs.tar. That's cool if you want something that's going to lead you through the installation process a little bit more. I don't think we necessarily need that. I think it's kind of an unnecessary step. We're going to skip that, and if you follow my tutorial you shouldn't have any trouble. So what we're going to do is we're going to download this one here, which is just the newest one, 2.0-rc5.img.gz. You download that file and you store it on your computer somewhere. Okay, once that's fully downloaded somewhere on your computer, that's when we're going to go ahead and use that Etcher software that you just downloaded earlier. So go ahead and pause the video if you need, download that, and then resume it whenever you have it fully finished. So here's Etcher, the image burning software, and what this does is it takes the operating system image that you just downloaded from Lakka and it burns it on the SD card in a way that makes the Raspberry Pi be able to understand what it's seeing. So you select image, hit the select image button, browse to the folder where you have your Lakka downloaded. So the newest one here is RC5. And then we're going to flash the image. Should be relatively quick process, no matter what size your SD card is. Since Lakka is a very small distribution, that's why it's pretty much my favorite. I'm still testing other builds, testing other versions of software like RetroPie, and I mean there's a few of them now. But Lakka seems to be the most lightweight and quickest, and the user interface is great. So that should be finishing up. Now it's validating. So this means it's basically checking to make sure that it's a full and complete system image and it's not just going to be a waste of your time. Alrighty, and then we close that, and we're going to take our SD card out of the computer. Alright, we're going to put it straight into the Raspberry Pi. Okay, so first, let's go ahead and get this common sense stuff out of the way. Don't have your Raspberry Pi turned on when you're putting the microSD card in. Okay, it's okay to have other cables plugged in, no problem, but don't plug in the power cable yet. So we're going to go ahead and install the microSD card into the microSD slot. P.S. if you like this case, shameless self-promotion here, if you like this case, this Raspberry Pi model is up for sale on my website as well, so www.retrogame.club. Now that shameless self-promotion is over, we're going to go ahead and plug in this power cable. So power cable is micro USB, very important if you're not familiar with the Raspberry Pi 3. This does have to be a 2.5 amp charger. Make sure you don't underpower or overpower it, okay guys? 2.5 amps, that's the recommended, that's what I would use. So, we plug that in, the red light comes on, and now we have our TV. We'll boot into this menu here. It's going to start talking about how it's reformatting the storage, yada yada. This is basically because Lakka doesn't know what size microSD card you have in there. So it's got to resize the storage to be whatever the microSD card is. So it's taking the operating system, it's unpacking it, and it's resizing the storage, in this instance, to be 128 gigabytes, but really you could use practically anything. Lakka's so lightweight it'll fit on a 8 gigabyte SD card, no problem, and you could even run all your games off USB if you really wanted to. And some people got some really cool little projects out there where they hook up like a 2 terabyte hard drive to this guy, and they've got practically every game ever freaking made in the planet. One second, I'm just getting this camera reoriented here so you guys can see everything. So this is the default loading screen, at least at the time that I'm recording this video, RC5. So it's going to pop up like this, and you're going to need a controller or a keyboard. For a keyboard you can use left, right, up, down, I think space and enter, I think. Just play around with it, figure it out. On SNES controller, you can use the little button at the bottom. That's going to be basically like your A button or your select button. So what we're going to do here is pretty important. We're going to go down on the settings. So this is like the interface, and then we got the settings. So we're going to go down to Wi-Fi, and we're going to make sure that we're connected to our actual Wi-Fi network. Also, I'm sorry, when you first start it, I believe this is the select button. You know what, I'm going to change that right now because I don't like it. I don't know about you guys, I like using the bottom button as my enter button. I'm going to show you how, because a lot of people actually care about that. So go to Input on the menu. Right here, we have it selected. Select that with the current button that is the select button, and then hit menu swap. Okay, menu swap, OK, and cancel buttons. Just press to the right on the directional pad, and that'll turn that on. Now this is the back button, and this is the select button. Okay, that's just how I like it. So go down to Wi-Fi, find your router, enter your passphrase. Okay, and then after you type it in by hitting the A button, hit start on your controller to go ahead and tell it that's the correct password. Okay, now you can go back with your back button, and you should be connected to your Wi-Fi network. Now, this is important because one of the easiest and best ways to get games onto Lakka, besides just using a USB drive, is to transfer them over your local area network. It's going to save you a lot of time. It's one of the only ways to access Lakka's interface, unless you have a Linux computer, okay guys? So go to Services next, and there's 3 services here, okay? In the Settings menu, go to Services. There's SSH Enable. That's more of an advanced one. I'm not going to bother teaching you guys that today. There's Samba Enable. This is the super easy one that I'm going to teach you guys. So go ahead and turn on Samba. It's how you transfer files from Windows computer and other computers to one another over a network. So since you're connected to your Wi-Fi, now you can transfer your files now that this is enabled. Okie dokie. So go back, and what I always do, now as you can see right here, there's no option that says like save my configuration, right? And that's kind of important. We need to save what we've done. So if you want to do that, okay, you go into the menu right here, menu, and then show advanced settings. Now when that's on, it's going to give you a ton of options, and you can really mess up the system if you get a little too crazy. I'm going to put another tutorial out there teaching you guys what options not to change, what options you can change, how to change themes and all that. I wouldn't get too crazy about that right now. I would leave it just the way it is. Turn on advanced settings for now, and the reason we're doing it is so we can go over here to configurations, and we can go ahead and save the current configuration. Why are we doing that? Well, because Lakka needs to know that Wi-Fi is enabled, what your password is, and that Samba is turned on. Now we're going to reboot it. So go down to reboot, hit the button to reboot it, and this is the part where you go back to your computer. So I'm going to go ahead and move the camera over there and show you what we're going to do next. Okay guys, once you're back at your computer, you're going to go ahead and go to your file browser and find the network folder. Okay, this should be super easy. I really hope it's this easy for you guys. I've never had an issue on Windows 10. There could be some advanced options you need to turn on before things just automatically pop up. I'll go over that with you, but usually you just click the network button over here. I don't know if it's too small for you. Try to zoom in a little bit with your face into YouTube. And then you find the computer called Lakka. And it's that easy, guys. Super, super freaking easy. If that doesn't pop up automatically, there's one thing you can try, okay? You can go up here in the search bar, or address bar, whatever you want to call it, and type in / Lakka, just like that. When you hit enter, it should pretty much automatically take you to the configuration folder. Okay guys, and if you're having trouble connecting to Lakka and you can't find it in your file explorer under network, if it's not showing up at all, there's one thing I can give you as advice that might work for you. Basically, you want to go down to your search bar. If you're on Windows 8, you move your mouse to the right corner, find the search button. If you're on Windows 10, it's at the bottom left where it says type here to search, and type in network. And it should come up with something that says Network and Sharing Center. So go ahead and open your Network and Sharing Center, and then go on the left over here. It should say Change Advanced Sharing Settings. If you can't find it, then just type in Change Advanced Sharing Settings in the search bar, okay? And go to your current profile, it'll say like private, guest, or public, or all networks. And basically you want to choose the one that says current profile. And you want to turn on network discovery and turn on file and printer sharing. If you have any doubts, then just go to private, turn on network discovery there, and go to all networks and turn on sharing and turn on everything. Just get crazy, turn on everything. This should fix the problem and make Lakka show up. If it wasn't, restart your computer if it's still not showing up. And then try what I told you earlier. If it's not popping up visibly, then try // Lakka in all capitals and type that in. That should give you access to it. If you're still having trouble, go to www.retrogame.club, post in our forum for support, or use our contact form. I might be able to help you out if it's a quick question. It should pretty much automatically take you to the configuration folder, which will have all of the important files, which I'll go ahead and explain now. So we've got assets. These are files unique to Lakka that it uses if you want to install different upgrades, updates, change core features of it. Usually that remains empty. Cheats, obvious, you store cheat files in there. We can go over that some other time. It should do it automatically, to be honest, whenever you download cheat files through Lakka. We've got config files. This is where you'll go if you want to change some advanced features in Lakka, such as the common issue some people have with different TVs not giving them the proper image display, and you can change it in the config files. We've got cores. That's where you can install new emulators manually. We've got joypads. That's where it stores joypad configuration files. We've got playlists. This is a very, very important folder. It's great to back this up. Whoops. Got playlists right there. That's how Lakka remembers what game goes to what system and how many you have and what they're called. That gets created automatically whenever you scan your games. Then we've got the ROMs folder. Obviously this is where your games go, and the cool thing about Lakka is it doesn't matter how you put them in there. They just have to be in there anywhere. Okay, save files is saves for games. They'll get put in there. Save states is when you want to save live. Your files get put in there. So whenever you stop the game in the middle of the game by pressing in both your thumbsticks or whatever you have the button configured to exit the game temporarily for like a pause, you can save your game live no matter where you are in the game, and the save goes here. And you can actually save these files and share them with people, and they can, you know, get to a certain part in a game like that. Screenshots, very cool. It's actually there's a screenshot option in Lakka. You can screenshot your games, and the images will show up here in the screenshots folder. Shaders, you know, man, Lakka already has so many freaking shaders, but if you really have something super special that you need to do to change the look and feel of a game, and you're a really advanced user, you can download custom shaders off the internet that'll make your game look either super high resolution, or actually some people like to have it look older, more old-fashioned, so it doesn't look like it's on an HD TV. There's many shaders already built into Lakka, but you can install manually new ones into this shaders folder. System, this is where all your BIOS files go, and that's really all I worry about that. So many of the emulators require a BIOS file to run, and they go in system. That's like a whole topic of its own. Very, very complex. Everything has to be in the correct format. It has to be case sensitive. You have to check the integrity. You can't just download any BIOS file off the internet, throw it in the system folder. Half the time it's not going to work. You have to have a very specific one. So that's part of why you know, why people pay to have this stuff done. You know what I mean? It's complex. So we've got thumbnails. This is you can download thumbnails off the internet, and you can put them in this folder, but usually Lakka will do that automatically for you when you download them through Lakka, and I'll show you how to do that later too. It's pretty cool. And then update. If you want to put in a manual update, it'll go there. So we're going to go ahead and transfer some ROMs over. So you just open the ROMs folder, right? It's going to have a folder in there called downloads. Don't worry about it. Open up a new folder where you have your ROMs. And then I like to organize mine into folders. so it's easy for me and I stay sane. Oh, sorry, let me zoom out a little bit here so you guys can see what the heck I'm doing. I like to have my ROMs stored in folders with the right name, and then inside put all the ROMs. So basically just take all of this, all your ROMs, drag and drop them over into the ROMs folder, and that's how you get games on Lakka. It's that simple. It'll transfer them over the network. Alrighty, so next step is we're gonna go ahead and go on Lakka, and we're gonna make all the games show up so they're actually working. Yeah. Alright, so now that you're back to your system, you've transferred all your ROMs over, you've made sure you have your BIOS files installed in the system menu that I showed you earlier. Now, what you have to do is you have to get Lakka to actually recognize the games. So on this system right now, the games are already going to show up. On your system, they're not. So you see these icons over here on the right. That's not going to show up for you. What you do is you find this little icon with a plus button, and you go to where it says Scan Directory. And what I suggest is, if you were smart and you put all your ROMs in individual folders labeled by their actual name, then you can scan each folder individually. That's what I recommend. I don't recommend scanning the entire card all at once. Not only does it take a really long time, but on the Raspberry Pi, once in a while it can cause it to kind of glitch out. So I would go to whatever folder that you're working on and click it, and then hit Scan This Directory. At the bottom of the screen, it's going to tell you how many ROMs you have in there. Sometimes it's going to be astronomical, and that's because some ROMs come in parts. So it might not be necessarily that you have, you know, that many games, but that you have that many files that it needs to read through. And it's going to disappear once in a while, and that means that it's reading the file, and then it'll pop back up in yellow, and it'll say, okay, now we're on the second one, we're on the third one. This can take hours depending on your collection, especially if you're working with like a 2 terabyte drive. This is literally going to take hours and hours if you have thousands and thousands of ROMs. So if you want to scan the entire directory from every single folder, you can do that, but what I would do is I would do it overnight and just let it run all night long so you don't have to deal with it. Okay, once this process is finished, what's going to happen is, sorry, let me go back. Okay, so then icons should automatically pop up over here. If these icons aren't popping up, then that's most likely because the ROM sets that you downloaded were not official sources supported by Lakka. Lakka works with the no intro ROM sets the best. So if you're looking for a good source of ROMs, look for the no intro ones. That's actual group that got together. They removed the intros that had been put on a lot of ROMs by other groups, and basically they're verified. So they've all been tested, and that means if you download a no intro pack, every single one of them is going to work for the most part, depending on the hardware that Lakka's working with. Now I'll go ahead and tell you about, or I'm sorry, the Raspberry Pi. So if you have a Raspberry Pi, it is limited. Like some of these N64 games especially may give you a little bit of trouble. So I suggest having multiple versions of the ones that you really enjoy, just to make sure, hey, if this version doesn't work, then I'll be able to use a different version. If you want, you may notice that there's been some icons popping up showing the actual game logos over here. If you want to set that up, it's very, very simple. What you want to do is you want to go to the area over here, and you have to be connected to the internet, of course. And then what you're going to do is Online Updater, and you're going to click that, and you're going to hit Thumbnails Updater, and then it's going to load an entire list of pretty much every system ever. And many of them aren't even supported by the Raspberry Pi, just so you're aware, and many of them also have many images that aren't even going to be for games that you have. So what I do is I go through my ROM set and I delete all the ones that are from other countries that have non-English languages, and I personally delete the sports titles to free up space, you know. If you're working with a 2 terabyte drive, you don't have to do stuff like that, but if you want to keep it all internal and just use the microSD, you might have to delete some games and sacrifice that to make room for the ones you really want. And the thumbnails, that's no exception. You're going to want to only download thumbnails for the titles that you have installed on the system, and you're also going to want to go back on your computer and do searches through the thumbnails, like type in, for instance, let's say you want to delete all the baseball games. Just type in baseball in the search menu, delete every thumbnail that pops up for baseball, then do the same thing in your ROMs folder. That's a quick way to clean out your ROM set. So basically after you click it, it's going to type in downloading at the bottom, and that means it's downloading all the images related to the Atari 2600 in this example. So that's how you download box art. And then if you want to change the box art, well, you can watch my other video where I go into the menu options a little bit more advanced. I'm not going to show you too much more. So basically, after you get your ROMs scanned with this button, they'll all start popping up in icons over here. If they don't, check your BIOS files. You might have the wrong BIOS, and you can go on the Lakka documentation, or you can go on my website, and you can find more information about getting the proper BIOS files and making sure you have good ROM sets and whatnot. But yeah, they should, if it's a correct ROM set, they should automatically pop up with their corresponding logo, and then you've basically got every title that you've put on there showing up right here. And then the reason it's not showing me box art down here right now is because I'm downloading a bunch of updates and it's scanning and whatnot. So the Raspberry Pi is kind of limited. You're not going to be able to multitask and be, you know, downloading thumbnail packs and scanning directories and expect everything to work, and then also, you know, jump in and start playing games. It's not that powerful. Maybe if you're running it off a PC, you can do that kind of multitasking. But yeah, Lakka is a very powerful system, but on the Raspberry Pi, you're going to want to do these things overnight. You're not going to want to be downloading thumbnails and searching directories and then trying to play at the same time. So anyway, guys, this is Jordan from retrogame.club. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial on how to get your Lakka Raspberry Pi box set up, and you can join us again next time for some more cool information. And if you have any information you'd like to submit, if you have any guides you've written, if you have any like top 10 lists, your favorite games, please go on our forum and submit those things and share it with the community so everybody can get your insight, okay? Anyway, thanks guys.